The big stories tonight. 17 labor unions warn of a nationwide strike if government fails to settle the PAL labor dispute. While the Department of Labor gives itself 100 days to settle all labor cases now awaiting action.
The standoff at SBMA rages into Saiwar between the camps of Payumo and Gordon. Ombudsman Añano Desierto orders the preventive suspension of Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Perfecto Yasay.
This portion is brought to you by PLDT, touching lives.
A new coalition of workers warned of a nationwide general strike if President Joseph Estrada fails to address the worsening problems in the country's labor sector. Good evening. I'm Thelma Dumpit Murillo with Vivian P. Salvidea for the big news. 17 labor unions today formed an alliance called Koalisyon para Subukan ng Mamamayan si ERAP or Consume in an apparent effort to test President Joseph Estrada's patience with the labor sector's nagging problems. Among the unions which joined the coalition are the Bakluran ng Manggagawang Pilipino, Sanlakas, and Philippine Airlines labor unions, including the pilots and ground personnel groups, among others. The coalition's leaders warned of a nationwide general strike if government fails to settle the dispute at PAL.
Gusto naing marinig sa bibig ng bagong Pangulo ng Bansa ang totoong kalagayan ng manggagawang Pilipino, ang kanilang pangunahing mga problema at ang pinabalak niyang solusyon sa mga problema ito.
Sumama tayo lahat sa koalisyon para subukin ng mamamayan si ERAP. Konsumido na tayo sa pagbibingi-bingihan ng pamahalaan. Konsumido na tayo sa mga hungkag na pangako. Konsumido na tayo sa mga kawalang katarungan.
Meanwhile, the president appealed for industrial peace while assuring workers that he will not let his support for the business community diminish his concern for the common worker. The president admitted the dispute at PAL is turning out to be one of the major headaches of his administration. He noted that while PAL's unions simply want better working conditions, PAL management maintains it will lose heavily if it takes back some 5,000 retrenched workers as demanded by the unions. As this developed, the Department of Labor and Employment has given itself 100 days to resolve the labor dispute cases currently lodged at the department. Labor Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma assured militant labor groups that the Estrada administration is constantly seeking ways to improve the labor situation in the country.
Meanwhile, PAL was able to dispatch all its scheduled flights today, despite Palaya's claim that their strike has effectively paralyzed PAL's operations. About 2,000 employees nationwide, which is about the standard figure, reported for work to mount 21 domestic and 7 international flights out of Manila. Babylin Cacho has more on this story.
With 21 domestic and 6 international flights today, the PAL management was able to muster enough confidence to say that operations of the flag carrier have returned to normal. While these figures are a far cry from the average 160 departures daily before the pilot strike, PAL Vice President for Sales and Services Avelino Zapanta says this number of flights are proof enough that 85% of the remaining 9,000 PAL employees are doing their best to continue serving the riding public.
At 100%, we were able to operate the flights yesterday. Na-delay nga lang yung mga ibang flights, 3-4 hours, but still, we were able to launch them. And
while Zapanta refused to say that Palaya's Wildcat strike failed to paralyze the flag carrier's operations yesterday, he is nevertheless hopeful this event won't happen again. At the PAL ticketing office, several customers were still having their flights booked despite notices of strike displayed outside the office. For Sales Services Manager Leia Sison, while the number of PAL's clients have dramatically dropped in recent months, some loyal patrons are still sticking it out with the flag carrier.
Mayroon talagang mga loyal passengers ng PAL na, you know, it's heartwarming na we get comments like we will wait until you resume or until you normalize your flights.
Sison said operations here are normal, perhaps due to the refusal of some Palaya members to join the protest actions. German national Hans Peters, one passenger who needed rebooking through another airline, laments that an airline as good as PAL would suffer this fate.
I hope I can leaving the Philippines on 20 of August, and I hope the strike will come quick to an end.
Zapanta noted that PAL has lost about 7 billion pesos since the pilots' strike more than a month ago. Before the strike and other series of protest actions, the now beleaguered airline was making 120 to 150 million pesos daily. Now, Zapanta says PAL's revenue dropped to as low as 15 to 20 million pesos daily. Still a big discrepancy from the 60 million pesos daily overhead in PAL's operations. With this and other considerations, such as tomorrow's announcement of PAL's restructured debts, the possibility of the airline's closure is not far behind.
Maaaring nandoon pa rin dahil hindi naman tayo lubusan pang nakakaahon doon sa kalugihan.
Meanwhile, PALEA members who are still mounting protest actions opposed management's claims that operations are back to normal. PALEA assailed media practitioners for coming out with what they call biased reports. With Rudy Aneza and Manolito Gaya, Baby Lencacho, ABC News.
This portion was brought to you by PLDT, touching lives.
Next in the big news, we'll bring you updates on the standoff at the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority and the new task force against organized crime.
At the SBMA, the standoff continues between the camps of newly installed Chairman Felicito Payumo and Richard Gordon, who still defiantly refuses to relinquish his post. The show of force by both camps reached its peak today, notwithstanding the Monday deadline issued by Payumo for SBMA workers to turn around and rally to his side. Jovi Francisco has more.
The officers of the two SBMA chairmen face each other along Subic Bay, separated only by that body of water. But the waters are ineffective in blocking the claims and counterclaims of the two camps that are still hitting each other by SIWAR. First, the issue of loyalty. Chairman Felicito Payumo imposed a Monday deadline for the department heads still loyal to Gordon to work for him and recognize his Memorandum Order Number 2. Failure to do so, he said, will cost them their jobs and their salaries.
If they refuse, and we know they will, because these are the handpicked men of Mr. Gordon, we can go below second, third tier level. And we will see come payday who they will honor, us or Mr. Gordon.
It was no surprise that all 31 department heads held an emergency meeting right away and decided to stay with Gordon no matter what the consequence is.
What Mr. Payumo does not understand is the concept of public service. And he doesn't understand what leadership is all about. It's not all about blackmail. It's about true leadership. The way to make people follow you is by making them believe in what you're doing and not by holding on to the purse strings. And what Mr. Payumo doesn't understand is the power of volunteerism. So you can do what you want with our money, but you cannot take away our willingness to serve.
So they don't really care kung mag-pass yung deadline this Monday and dumating yung payday na sinasabi nga ng camp ni Payumo na crucial daw yung day.
We would rather serve the country in our present capacity than work for a person like Mr. Payumo.
Then, Payumo's camp, through its newly designated security officer, Colonel Emmanuel Ojeda, claimed that out of the 500 security personnel all over Subic, 50 to 60% are now reporting to work with the knowledge that Payumo is the new chairman. Ojeda even obliged to a request for a surprise inspection of the different gates of the free port. Indeed, there were security men guarding the gates, but most of them are still wearing the ribbons that signify their support for Gordon.
Sa amin kasi na lang, yung trabaho lang po yan. Wala kami kasi for the sake of our family, kailangan namin ng trabaho kaya nandiyan kami sa pwesto namin.
Okay, so wala sa inyo kung sino pa man yung nakaupo?
Kahit sino po mo po, basta kung anong naging nila, dyan lang po. Basta kami, nagtrabaho kami ng maayos dito. Saka kailangan namin, gusto namin tahimik. Ayaw namin ng magulo.
And as expected, Gordon's camp quickly rebuffed Payumo's claim on the security monopoly by staging this show of force in front of Building 229 or the Administration Building.
At sinabi nila sa akin Kung hindi tayo pasusweldoin, Chairman, tatagal kami hanggat kailangan. Magbo-volunteer kaming lahat muli kasama ng mga tao namin.
It is easy to analyze how both camps fared in getting the support of the different blocks inside SBMA. Payumo got the investor support, while Gordon obviously still enjoys the support of his volunteers. Sadly, the two blocks are useless without each other, although in reverse, the SBMA can only be productive with just one chairman. For the Big Juice with Julius Catibog and Bogs Gabriel, Joey Francisco, ABC News.
President Estrada today warned prospective members of the new task force against organized crime against committing human rights violations or face immediate prosecution. Mr. Estrada has ordered task force head Chief Superintendent Panfilo Lacson to charge erring members in court. He also cautioned Lacson against encroaching on the jurisdiction of the Philippine National Police, which will remain as the primary law enforcement agency.
I talked to General Lacson and I think they're eyeing about 8 kidnap gangs, kidnap syndicate. Sabi ko nga sa kanila, within 6 months, tapusin nila yung trabaho. Pero, of course, some kidnapping marahil. Pero yung drug trafficking, medyo matatagalan.
Meanwhile, the task force set up its offices in Camp Crame today. Aside from transferring furniture and equipment from the camp, drug testing for prospective members of the task force was also done. According to Superintendent Michael Ray Aquino, more than 200 police and military personnel have applied to work for the task force. A 120 million peso budget is needed by the task force.
Paano yung screening process ninyo?
Siyempre, yung mga dating pinagkakatiwalaan namin, di ba?
Tulad lang. Paano? Parang yun lang?
Madating tao namin. Madating tao namin.
This is the basis trust
Yeah. Hindi naman. Siyempre, yung mga makakapag-deliver. Yung alam namin na nakakapagtrabaho ng maayos. Na walang kalokohan.
Accusations of military human rights abuses flew once again today as a witness in the bloody encounter between the military and NPA forces in Aurora resurfaced to tell his story. Arlene de la Cruz reports.
There was a survivor in the controversial encounter between the military and the New People's Army in Dingalan, Aurora. When interviewed on the incident inside a military camp, Wilfredo Quibral, alias Catoni, initially said it was impossible for him to tell if his companions Marites Casamis and Celi Año were sexually abused in the encounter. Wilfredo has since been released from military custody. Now, he tells a different story. Wilfredo now says soldiers of the 56th Infantry Battalion molested the dead bodies of Marites and Celi. A fact-finding team composed of non-governmental organizations concluded that Marites Casamis and Celi Año were molested by members of the 56th Infantry Battalion of the Philippine Army last June 9. The fact-finding team says there was a strong probability that necrophilia was committed. Necrophilia is an act of sexually abusing a dead body. The conclusion is supported by a forensic examination done by Professor Jerome Bailen. But the primary basis of the allegation of necrophilia was the testimony of the lone survivor of the June 9 encounter, Wilfredo Quibral, alias Catoni.
Orientasyon mo sa amin. Kahit kung marami kami, ka-count yung sundalo. Bagamat nakita ko namin na count yung sundalo, iiwas pa rin kami.
When we first asked him about the incident, Wilfredo said there was no way he could see if Celi and Marites were abused by the soldiers. The interview was conducted inside a military camp in Laur, Nueva Ecija. Now Wilfredo is saying that he actually saw the soldiers remove the underwear of Celi and Marites while the two lay dead.
Tapos nung nilingon ko silang gano'n, hinuhubaran nung mga militar yung dalawang babae. Tapos sabi sa akin sa militar, ba't patingin-tingin ka pa? Hindi ako tumingin. Tapos nung pumunta kami rin sa aming kubo, kinuha ko yung mga damit ko. Tawanan na sila, tapos siyawan. Tapos yung pagkakunan, puto ka na naman.
Wilfredo also reveals the soldiers feasted on the dead bodies of Celi and Marites.
Sabi nila sa akin, yung mga kasama mo, wala pang mabulbul, virgin pa.
Ricardo Ilustre was also killed in the encounter. Wilfredo now says Ilustre surrendered but was killed within close range.
Sumuko siya ngayon. Sininyasan ni Aguadang patayin na.
Wilfredo admits he is with the NPA. Celi just joined the revolutionary movement last March, while Marites should have turned the year-old with the movement last June. Officers of the 56th Infantry Battalion have already issued a denial on the allegations of necrophilia. Now comes a survivor's testimony affirming that necrophilia indeed took place. A picket rally is scheduled tomorrow at Camp Aguinaldo to ask Defense Secretary Orlando Mercado to reopen the case and punish the soldiers and military officers allegedly involved in the sexual abuse. For the Big News, Arlene de la Cruz.
Executive Secretary Ronaldo Zamora said some 50 to 60 persons may have benefited from questionable financial transactions during the Ramos administration. He refused to name names but hinted some of those on the list may be friends of government officials. Zamora said government is also looking into questionable loans incurred by businessman Ramon Jacinto Jr. He said that while Jacinto's 6.7 million peso loan may not be considered behest, many doubtful circumstances surround it. Senator Raul Roco, who will head the Senate Committee on Banks and Financial Institutions, vowed to look into this case.
Kung itutulak ng may resolution na ipa-file, i-investigate natin. So that's not, depende yan sa resolution na ipa-file. Ako walang informasyon dyan, so I'm dependent upon some senator who may have the information.
Former Budget Secretary Salvador Enriquez meanwhile said government had nothing to do with Jacinto's financial transactions. He added the loan could even spell billions of revenue for the concerned banks.
Because they made a down payment and the property is still mortgaged with PNB. So in the event they fail to pay, the deposit will be going to PNB. It will become profit of PNB and still retain the property on the part of PNB. That's a nice business deal. Ang lugi dyan, si Jacinto.
Ombudsman Anyana Desierto today ordered the preventive suspension of Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Perfecto Yasay. The 90-day suspension stems from Yasay's alleged takeover of premises owned by one Donato Teodoro at the SEC building and the demolition of a canteen in the disputed premises. Yasay had denied the charges, but the Ombudsman's chief legal counsel said evidence shows that Yasay had succeeded in convincing Teodoro to lease out the said premises, which he later claimed were part of the building's common areas.
Senator Marcelo Fernan today expressed surprise at reports of a brewing Senate coup to prevent him from assuming the Senate presidency. The supposed coup was allegedly hatched by Senator Raul Roco. Fernan said Roco did not appear to have anything against him when they met at his office yesterday. Fernan said he has also received calls from several Lakas senators assuring him of their support. Roco also denied the reports and branded them as baseless.
For as long as you enjoy the trust and confidence of at least 12, then expect to be elected Senate President, or after you are chosen, expect to remain the Senate President.
It was news to me. At hindi ko matansya talaga kung saan galing yun unless yun may mga interest sa committee na i-assign sa akin sa banks or constitutional amendments. So hindi totoo yun. Walang kabase-base yun and we can forget that.
The Supreme Court today junked Administrative Order 308 of former President Fidel Ramos, which sought to establish a national computerized identification system. In a 35-page decision, the High Court said the ID system infringes on a person's right to privacy, liberty of abode, and travel. The system would have allowed the easy identification of Filipinos and foreign residents when transacting business with government agencies.
President Estrada today launched Sustansya para sa Masa, a multi-sectoral nutrition program to prevent vitamin deficiency among the poor. Calling malnutrition an unseen crime, President Estrada said malnutrition victimizes millions of women and children every year. Government figures show at least 71 million Filipinos suffer some form of preventable malnutrition. Of this figure, pregnant and lactating women account for some 2.4 million. Under this program, the Health Department will cooperate with bakers and millers to enrich the pandesal with vitamin A. The enriched bread will then be dubbed as pan de vida, roughly translated as heroic bread, a label Mr. Estrada said was especially appropriate.
One person died and another was injured in an early morning ambush in San Juan today. 28-year-old Charlie Panopio, marketing manager of Goldilocks, was on his way to work when two unidentified